All right. Hello, hello, hello. I am getting ready here to go live, doing a workshop on men's hormones tonight. Just getting all my systems going, getting everything rolling. I think we're all set. All right. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. So, this is the fourth workshop that I have done this month, specifically on men's hormones. And tonight, I'm going to recap some of the most important points that we talked about for this workshop and the series of workshops, and then also give you really specific tips and tools for optimizing testosterone levels and, in some cases, increasing testosterone levels for those guys who need it. So, June is Men's Health Month, and I work with a lot of men in my practice. About 50% of my clientele are men over 40. And there's definitely a reason for this. So oftentimes men over 40, they just start to notice changes in their body just the way that women do. It's just that in our society, we don't talk that much about men's hormones specifically. And I hope to change that. So, if you are a woman listening to this workshop tonight and you love a guy who's having those struggles, be sure to pass this on to them, because sometimes guys are not the best at taking care of their health. And certainly that's a massive generalization that I am making. I know a lot of women who struggle with taking care of their health as well. But tonight's workshop is really about that. It's about what exactly are the tools that we need to put in place in order to optimize a man's hormones. Okay. So I will also give you a FYI that my house is full of little children running around like maniacs tonight, and they are having the best time out there. So tonight's workshop may be a little bit louder and more rambunctious than it normally is. And for those who are listening to the recording, hopefully this won't be too distracting for you. So let's recap what we've talked about over the course of the last month. So the first workshop that I did in this series was about a client of mine who was really struggling with a number of different factors in his health. First of which was erectile dysfunction. He was having a lot of symptoms related to that. He just recently gotten married, and he and his wife wanted to have children. He was also struggling with just kind of lack of motivation, malaise. He'd gained a fair amount of weight right around his middle, and he was having a super hard time losing that weight. Even though he changed his diet and he was exercising and he was doing all the right things, he just wasn't able to drop that weight. So, and then he was also having some issues with his cholesterol levels as well. So in that first workshop that I did, I really broke down what hormone tests we ran for him, the changes that we made, the fact that he was able to reverse that erectile dysfunction, which was a huge win. And if you are interested in any of these workshops, please reach out to me or my team. We'd be happy to send you the recordings of those so that you can start to educate yourself on this very important topic. So the next workshop was looking specifically at blood sugar and how blood sugar levels impact testosterone levels, and specifically how blood sugar imbalances can have a huge effect on testosterone. I talked to a lot of my female clients about this as well. This is a very big issue for women who are in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. It's an area of hormonal health that we just don't really talk about a whole heck of a lot. A lot of people don't realize how important blood sugar is to hormone balance. And what's fantastic is that technology is really starting to catch up with us here, in that you can actually apply a continuous glucose monitor to your arm and track your blood sugar 24/7, which is an amazing tool to be able to have. And again, if you want the recording of that workshop, please reach out and let us know. And then last week, we talked about stress and how stress impacts testosterone levels, and specifically about the adrenal glands and how the health of the adrenal glands is really key to stabilizing and optimizing testosterone. So today we're going to bring all of those topics together into a list of tools that I have for you for optimizing testosterone. Now, if you're curious about why some of these tools are so incredibly helpful for optimizing testosterone, again, please do watch the recordings of the workshops that I've done this last month, because hormones are very, very complex topic. And I spent a half an hour on each one of these workshops explaining exactly what the mechanics are of these different aspects of testosterone, so that you really can start to piece it together and understand why the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight are so important. All right. Um, let's dig in to signs and symptoms of testosterone imbalances in men. Okay. Um, and again, this issue of testosterone imbalances is much more common in men over 40, although there are men for sure under 40 who are having similar issues. So don't let the age demographic throw you off. So here are some of the most common symptoms. Erectile dysfunction is absolutely at the top. If you are having issues with that, please understand that that is a symptom that is telling you a lot about what's going on with your health. So frequently when a man is struggling with erectile dysfunction, he's also struggling with inflammation. He's also struggling with weight gain around his middle and his hips. Sometimes breast tissue begins to grow as well, holding fat in the chest as well. Testosterone imbalances and especially lower testosterone levels can have a huge impact on men's mental health. So, you know, you might start to notice that, like, gosh, I just don't have the same motivation that I used to. There's more depression, anxiety than I used to have. And again, if you love a guy who you're noticing, like, gosh, he just seems different. He doesn't have as much zest for life. Really consider that he might need a little bit of help with his hormones. Okay. Joint pain and chronic pain can be a really important symptom and factor to be keeping an eye on as well. And frequently, people don't correlate these symptoms with their hormones. And I really, really hope that after listening to these workshops over the course of the last month, that you'll start to see that some of these what appear to be disparate symptoms. Um, can very much be related to each other. And by getting black and white test results, understanding exactly what's going on with your hormones, we can make incredible strides in helping to restore the levels of your hormones. So, as a recap, specifically for men, the hormones that I'm looking at when I'm looking at hormone panels for my male clients, I'm certainly looking at testosterone, but I have said this over and over and over again in the last month of workshops. If we're just looking at testosterone levels, we're going to miss a much larger, much more important picture. So estrogen is equally important to helping to balance testosterone levels. And we need to get good, hard researched evidence and tests on what's going on with the estrogen levels. Progesterone is actually a very important marker for understanding men's hormones. It can be a reflection of how functional the adrenal glands are. And if you don't know anything about the adrenal glands, you're in good company. And that was last week's topic. So again, be sure to reach out for the recording if you're interested in learning more about that. Also need to be looking at DHEA and cortisol. Both of those are also adrenal hormones. And you're going to notice today in some of my recommendations that I really am speaking directly to adrenal health and helping to support the hormones that the adrenals produce, which has a downstream effect on testosterone and the body's ability to produce testosterone. Okay. All right. So, to that end, let's actually start with mental health. And as I mentioned, men who are suffering from hormonal imbalances, specifically lowered levels of testosterone, they oftentimes have a much higher rate of anxiety, depression, and really lack of motivation or zest for life. And a lot of times they may not have had that issue when they were younger, but as they've gotten older and their hormones have changed, they notice a significant change kind of in their personality, which can be really, really hard, especially if you don't know what's causing that. And certainly, I do not want to imply by any stretch of the imagination that significant mental health issues are solely caused by low testosterone or hormone imbalances. I hope that it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways, that mental health is a very, very complex topic with many, many contributing factors. And hormones can be a part of that picture. Okay, so it's an important thing to be taking a look at. So, what are some tools? What are some tools for helping yourself with your mental health? This is a bit of a generalization, okay, but I think that it's a happens more often than not. Let's say that. So, I see frequently in my male clients that don't they have maybe a lot of friends, but they don't necessarily have people that they can really sit down and say, "Hey, I'm struggling a lot with this aspect of my life." Okay. To really have like that heart to heart supportive conversation. And a lot of times those conversations look very different between men and women, but nonetheless, men need those conversations as much as women do. They may look different, but they're very, very necessary. So, having that community, having that support is so important for helping to manage stress levels. And again, stress has a monumental impact on hormone balance and especially testosterone production. Meditation. This is probably not the first time that you've ever heard that recommendation. And I can tell you that a lot of my male clients just laugh at me when I tell them that they really should start meditating. They're like, I'm never going to do that, Ishbel. And I'm like, I hear you. I get it. But here's what I want to share about meditation is that you're going to just totally suck at it for a while. And that's good. If you are sitting there and you're like, man, my mind is going a million miles an hour and I don't really understand the purpose of that, you are on the right track, my friend. Okay. So it's all about practice, it's all about coming back to it. The research does not lie on meditation. It has profound impacts on the brain, and it also helps to balance cortisol levels, which is essential for helping with testosterone levels as well. One really nice, quick way for people to get like a quick meditation session is with something called box breathing. So box breathing has been used and is part of the training for Navy SEALs, police officers, um, frontline medical workers who are under a tremendous amount of stress. So look up box breathing. There's a lot of research to back up the effectiveness of that. And the cool thing about it is that you could be in the middle of a very stressful meeting and you could be doing box breathing and nobody would know that you were doing it, but you can feel that you're kind of calming down. And that is key. Okay. Exercise. Can't say enough good things about exercise, right? Exercise can be the most amazingly powerful way to reduce stress levels. And sometimes for our guys who have lowered testosterone levels, they're also oftentimes struggling from joint pain, chronic pain. They're more prone to injury. So picking exercise that's really supportive to your body is really important. You may not be able to go out tomorrow and run 3 miles. That's not what we're talking about here, right? Start with something, anything. Go for a brief walk. Okay? The body is a miraculous machine. If you don't have exercise in your life right now, start slow, be gentle, listen to your body, and over time you will start to develop more and more endurance, more and more fitness, and maybe someday you will run those 3 miles. Okay? But I put this under the mental health category because exercise is so important for that stress relief. Sleep habits. I shout that from the rooftops. And am specifically labeling this sleep habits. Okay. A lot of times it'll be called like sleep hygiene. Okay. Whatever you call it, it is a habit. So going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time in the morning, putting your phone away, reading a book, right? Like at this point, for most of us, with the amount of technology that we have at our fingertips, reading a book is like becoming a lost art. Put away all of the lights and the blinking objects and read a book. Do a meditation. Do something to help calm yourself down so that you're ready for sleep. Okay, there are books written about sleep. I cannot overemphasize how important that is. I'm not going to dive into all the intricacies of sleep, but needless to say, getting a good night's rest can significantly help you improve your hormones. Diet. I got a lot to say on this one. I'm going to keep it simple and to the point, and then I also have one um, really big tip for you with diet, specifically for testosterone levels. So the basics are this: eat more veggies, eat more protein, eat healthier fats. Okay, what I mean by healthier fats are nuts and avocados and olive oil and coconut oil. Please stop eating vegetable oils. Please stop buying processed foods that are made with cottonseed oil. Last time I checked, cotton is not a food. Okay. Work on these healthy essential fatty acids. They are the building blocks for making hormones. Okay. Stop buying things that come in a package. Okay. Um, Start switching out your highly processed sugar and carbohydrates, those chips, all those things. Start switching them out for fruit, right? Like, what a novel idea. And hey, I get it. All this crunchy food and everything that comes in a package is highly addictive. Please do not expect yourself to just like overnight be able to stop eating these things. That is not realistic. So much of the food that we eat these days is designed to get us addicted to it. So it's going to take you time, and that is as it should be. Okay. Um, Start switching over to more fiber rich foods. Brown rice is a nice option. Quinoa, squashes if it's squash season. But vegetables are your primary source of carbohydrates. Cut down on the alcohol and the caffeine. Y'all knew that was coming, right? Isn't that what everybody says? And I'm sorry to say that they're right. Okay. Alcohol has a huge effect on the liver. The liver is so important to hormone balance. This is an incredibly integral part to detoxification. Caffeine, it can really mess with your adrenal glands. Again, as I mentioned earlier on in this workshop, the adrenal glands are so important for the production of sex hormones, specifically testosterone. So, if you're pounding that caffeine throughout the day, you are not doing your hormones any favors. Not to mention that you are just continually sending your nervous system into overdrive, which gets those stress hormones going and deprives your body of the nutrients that it needs to help make things like testosterone. Okay. And then here's the big guy, okay, that I will oftentimes suggest to a lot of my male clients, specifically my male clients who do have weight to lose. As I mentioned earlier in this workshop, a lot of times weight gained around the middle okay, is a common symptom for men who are struggling with testosterone imbalances. And one of the best ways to help these guys lose that weight pretty fast is by doing intermittent fasting. Now, there are a lot of different ways to practice intermittent fasting. What I would suggest is that you just keep your eating window to a 10-hour window. Okay, that's just a really simple, clear way to start. But I'm going to ask you for a few things if you decide to do this. Okay, so if you decide to take on my challenge to practice intermittent fasting, these are the things that I need you to do simultaneously. Okay, please do not hammer an enormous amount of food into your body over the course of those 10 hours. That is not the purpose of intermittent fasting. You still need to listen to your body. You need to stop when you're done eating. Okay. You need to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're not hungry. Simple, but hard to do. Okay. So keep that in mind. Um, if you are suffering from blood sugar imbalances, you may not be able to practice intermittent fasting. So, if you're struggling with uh, dizziness, if you can like feel the energy draining out of your body, and you would like, for example, if you had to go for a walk, you may not have the energy for it because you're so hungry. You are not a candidate for intermittent fasting. Okay, so again, if you choose to take on this intermittent fasting idea, this tool, you really got to keep track of how you're feeling and make sure it's the right fit for you. Please understand that intermittent fasting is a very complex topic, and I am giving you the tiniest little snippet of information on this right now. There are books written on this. I will probably do a workshop on this. But again, just to like do a quick start on it, see if you can limit your eating window to 10 hours a day. Okay. And specifically for my male clients who are struggling with these testosterone imbalances, especially low testosterone, the reason that intermittent fasting is so helpful for these men is because it really helps to regulate blood sugar. And as I talked about in the blood sugar workshop that I did on testosterone a couple weeks ago, in that workshop, I explained that blood sugar imbalances and weight gain, they work hand in hand. Blood sugar imbalances and inflammation work hand in hand. So the more that we can do to stabilize your blood sugar, the less inflamed that you are going to be and the less weight you are going to be carrying on your body. And this applies to both men and women. But if you are somebody who's carrying a lot of fat on your body, how that impacts your hormones is really quite fascinating. So it's a process called aromatization, in which aromatase enzymes in your fat actually begin to convert the testosterone levels that you have available to you. They convert those testosterones, that testosterone into estrogen. Okay. So essentially, the takeaway here is that body fat increases estrogen levels and decreases testosterone levels. And unfortunately, this creates this sort of like circular patterning that's really difficult to get out of once you're in it. The more estrogen you're producing, the more fat you produce. The more fat you produce, the more estrogen you produce. Okay, so something like intermittent fasting can help to kind of like insert yourself into that paradigm and stop it in its tracks. Okay, let's talk supplements because this is such an fascinating and important part of the conversation. The first thing I want to say about supplements are that I am the first to tell you that not all supplements are made the same. You really need to be careful about where you purchase your supplements. And I'm also going to say that I am not going to be sharing supplement ideas with you like vitamin D or calcium or zinc. Now, all of those things are incredibly important for your health, but those are not the kind of herbs that I'm going to be talking about here in a moment to help boost your testosterone levels. Okay. The reason I want to make this differentiation between these two types of supplements is because I really need you to take it very seriously how powerful these herbs can be. Okay, so please, and I'll tell you specifically the ones that I highly encourage you to not just go out willy-nilly and start taking these supplements without any kind of guidance and without first testing your hormones. It can really, really backfire. The point in me sharing some of these herbs with you is so that you can find a knowledgeable practitioner who can help to guide you in using these and can also help to tell you if they're actually going to be helpful to you based on your test results. Okay, so one of my favorite supplements is DIM, and this I use for my clients who have lab high levels of estrogen. So this can be my female clients can have lab high levels of estrogen, but frequently, again, my male clients who are struggling with erectile dysfunction, they oftentimes have lab high estrogen levels as well. So DIM can be a fantastic, very, very effective way to help bring estrogen levels back into normal range. I always ask my clients to test their hormones before we start a protocol and after, because I want to make sure that the supplements that I've recommended have actually created a shift that we can track, right? That is measurable. Okay. So, again, if you are suffering from higher than lab high levels of estrogen, DIM can be a really great option for you. Fiber. This is the one supplement that I say, go for it. You do not need to, like, per se see a specialist to be eating more fiber, just as long as your gut can deal with that increase in fiber. The best way to get fiber is through your diet. Eat those vegetables. Chia seeds, flax seeds can be really helpful. Be sure with both of those things that you've ground them up. You're not eating them whole, otherwise, it's not very helpful. Excuse me. Um, Psyllium husk can be helpful for some people. For a lot of people, including myself, it just causes a whole bunch of gas and bloating and all sorts of things. So be careful about what kind of fiber you get. And if you start to have digestive issues associated with it, you probably need to switch things around and try some different variables. All right. Another herb that's really, really helpful for testosterone is chrisin. So chrisin is a flavonoid that's actually been found to be effective in treating and preventing cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, inflammation. But also specifically for our purposes with balancing testosterone, it's been found to be an aromatase inhibitor. And I talked a bit about this earlier in this workshop, and I talked about aromatization quite a lot in the previous workshops this month. So again, aromatization is where the body is preemptively converting the testosterone that is available into estrogen, which, if you're suffering with some of these hormonal imbalances and you're a guy, the last thing you want to be happening is to have your existing testosterone to be converted into estrogen. We need that testosterone to stay as testosterone. Okay, your body worked hard to make it. So chrisin can be really helpful in, if there is aromatization happening, it will help to halt that. Now, again, I will tell you, do not go out and just buy chrisin tomorrow, because aromatization may not be a factor for why your testosterone levels are low. Right? We need to test that to figure that out. Okay, the last one that I have for you is Tongat Ali. And that is a fascinating herb, and there has been a lot of research done on that one. The research is showing that it increases testosterone levels, it increases sperm counts, it increases sperm I told you there's some little kiddos running around in my house tonight. You might be able to hear them. I sure can. It increases sperm motility. Okay, so it's a really great herb for couples who are struggling with infertility. And one of the studies that really stood out to me was a 1-month study on men who are 76 years old. And they found that after taking 200 milligrams of Tongarali, that they saw a significant increase in the levels of their testosterone. And that happened in 90% of the participants of that study. Okay. So that is a really, really helpful tool. And again, make sure that you've gotten tested, okay, that you have black and white data to work from. And then from there, the practitioner that you're working with can help to build out a protocol that is really holistic, that is addressing your hormonal imbalances from a lot of different perspectives. It's so important that we not just do testosterone support. We really need to understand all of the driving factors behind why those testosterone levels are low and begin to look at testosterone and hormone balance for men from a multitude of different perspectives: dietary, lifestyle, stress relief, sleep, exercise, digestion. Okay, I did a whole workshop series on how digestion impacts hormones. And then, of course, supplements are a really important factor in this as well. Okay. So, thank you as always so much for joining me tonight. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you want to get the recording of this workshop, please reach out to me or to my team. We would be more than happy to share this workshop with you. And please keep an eye out for future workshops. In September, I'm going to be doing a whole series on PCOS, which is looking at testosterone imbalances in women. Okay. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful night.